I'm back at Into Moto in Warrington, and today I just want to show you a bike that I think does not get the credit that it deserves, doesn't get the hype or talked about, nowhere near enough, and that is of course the Benelli Leoncino 500 Trail. Now let me just justify that statement first of all about it not getting hyped enough. These bikes, they're impressive. They are impressive, but not just that. There's a massive reduction on them at the moment in price. I'll tell you about that in a second, but let's have a look around the bike, usual way. I'll throw some specifications at you as we're going, and you let me know in the comments what you think. But if you've never tried one, please don't put anything negative in the comments, because if you were to try one, I'm sure it would only be positive, guaranteed. Let's have a look. Take a look at that. It's got a 500cc water-cooled 4-stroke engine. It has got a chain drive, as you would expect. I think it's a lovely looking bike, this. Nice LED headlight at the front, nice and bright for when you're out in the dark. Like it. There's your full 360. Brakes at the front, you've got the twin discs, 2-piston calipers. At the back, just a single disc with a 1-piston caliper. The exhaust, we'll find out shortly if it sounds nice. Suspension on the back, just a single shock, so we'll see how comfortable that is when we're riding. Nice substantial grab handle, so if you're taking someone on the back, they've got nice bit of steel to grab onto, nice and secure. Do like that as well. A bit of a OCD bugbear of mine, but when you've got bike brands that they make bikes and they don't have matching pegs, and it just looks odd for me if the pegs don't match, but there's so many of them that do it. Aluminium rims at the front and rear, or aluminum if you're not talking English, which bizarrely didn't sound like English. But they have these aluminium rims front and rear. You've got a size 19 front wheel, 17 at the back. Comes with a side stand only, no centre stand. I don't know if that's an option, I'll have to ask inside. Only a side stand on this one. Buttons. So the bike itself is kind of a back to basics bike, but I like it because they haven't tried to put anything complicated on here. You haven't got a million modes and fancy gadgets. You've just got a motorcycle stripped back to its bare form. Yeah, I don't know, I'm talking nonsense. It just doesn't have all of that stuff that could potentially go wrong. It's got the safety stuff like ABS and things, but there's no modes or anything to speak of. So buttons, you've just got the classic, the horn, indicators, high-low beam, and you've got a flash button. And the right hand side, again, nothing really to speak of other than your engine start, your hazard warning lights, and your engine cut-off. Just a nice simple key, not keyless, key. Screen is just a very simple LCD screen. In the day where everyone's throwing TFTs on, Benelli with this bike have just kept it simple. But that's how they can afford to keep the prices low, and I'll tell you about that very, very shortly. But what we've got is a nice prominent speedo, you've got gear indicators, you have got your rev counter going around the outside, you've got total miles. Well, this bike's brand new, it's the demonstrator bike at Into Moto, so it is a brand new bike. You've got air temperatures, you've got fuel gauges, there's clocks, there's engine temperatures, you've got everything that you need and more on there, and then you can go through trip computers and such, and you can change. Look at that, I love that. So I go on a lot of tours abroad and it's always a faff trying to work out how to change a bike from miles per hour to kilometres. Well, with this, one button, done. You're now on kilometres. I like the simplistic touches. I like how they've not tried to go too fancy. You don't have to go into a menu and look at a million things to try and change something. It's just simple. Get my little legs over. So the bike has got an 815mm seat height. So for somebody like myself, 5'8", 29-inch inseam, it's a tiptoes job. Well, I wouldn't quite say tiptoes, maybe balls on my feet, but it's quite a tall bike, but it doesn't feel intimidatingly tall. It's not like those adventure bikes where you are literally ballet style on them, or us average height. Yeah, I'm saying average height. But us normal size people tend to be on our tiptoes. You giants, not so much. But it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel that tall. And it's very easy, or it would be very easy to move if I didn't have it in gear. But you can see I'm going uphill ever so slightly, but just moving it with my feet. Very, very easy to do. Seating position is a nice up straight back. I like that. It means for me personally, I know what I'm like, and I know that if my back's upright, I can ride for longer without getting any aches and pains. Bars, nice and wide bars. It's a lovely position to sit in. Mirrors, like an egg shape. They're quite small, these. You can see what you need to behind you, but not the most practical mirrors I've ever seen in my life, but they're all right. They do a job. Now, I mentioned price. Now, I'll put a link in the description, but Into Moto are selling currently the 500 trials for just, I think, an unbelievable price. They should be £5,499, but then you've got the on the road, which is another couple of £100, so just over 5.5 or 5.7. That's the standard price of these bikes. But Into Moto have got these advertised at the minute for £4,699. Monster saving. And essentially, it just blows me away a little bit, because if you've watched earlier videos that I've done, I could name 125s like the Yamaha MT125, Suzuki's GSXR 125, pretty much every Japanese 125. You can pay £5,000 for one of those. This is a 500cc monster that wipes the floor with those bikes. Now, I know in the grand scheme of things, if you're learning to ride, you need a 125, so yeah, you can't compare them that way. But price wise, this is a big boy bike for 125 money, because there are many 125s that are more expensive than what this bike currently is up for. So it's blown me away with the looks, the style, and most importantly the price. I love a bargain, and this is on a brand new bike as well. It's not a used bike, it's a brand new bike. So let's go and take it for a ride. Let's see what it's like, and only then can I say whether or not I would buy one or not. But everything looks good so far, so let's go for a ride. Ooh, now that sounds very feisty. Very feisty. Looking forward to this one. What do you think of the walk round? Let me know in the comments. You don't see many of them out and about, and they have been out for a while, and it makes me think, why? Why are more people not buying these bikes? For me, these bikes look really nice. They sound really nice. And they're at a price point that really a lot of other brands just can't compete with. They're very, very well priced. I'm going to do the speed test that I do with the smaller capacity bikes. And I want to do it for a couple of reasons. I want to see basically what the performance is like on this when you open it up a little bit, but I also want to just show people the difference between the larger engine bikes to the 125s, just to see, being interesting comparison. It goes round the bend beautifully. Okay, little 40 stretch, let's just see, 30 to 40. Done. Okay. It is so much fun. Anybody who doesn't ride, anyone who's thinking about riding, it is so much fun when you just twist that throttle, even just for a second, just to see how it feels. They do feel so nice, especially on these bends, just gliding round the bend, and then just the slightest touch and you're away. So they've certainly got enough power. Now, a bit of filtering. The bars are quite wide. They are quite wide, I've noticed that. So when it comes to filtering, yes, you can get through gaps, but it's not quite like the 125 and the scooter experience where you can get through tiny little gaps. The brakes feel nice and sharp. It's going through the gears really nicely. Not a lot really to complain about. Okie dokie. Right, guys, if you've seen my 125 videos where I do speed tests, this is the place that I use. I've just got used to using the same place, and it's good because I can compare bikes just to see where they get to certain speeds, etc. So I'll not bore you with it all, but 125s on this first stretch. I've never had any do 60 mile an hour. I've had a 200cc do 60 mile an hour down by a tree down this end, and I just want to kind of show you the difference between 125s and the bigger engine bike. So this is a 500, so I'm just going to give it a little bit down the road, and we'll see how quick it gets up to 60 mile an hour. Let's go. The difference is there to be seen. So that I'm slowing down for the sake of the camera, but you can see the difference between a bigger bike and a 125. That got to 60 mile an hour just in half the, well, not even half, it got to 60 in seconds. And yeah, there's a massive difference between this and the 125s. You feel big when you're on it because it's quite a tall bike, so it's nice for a little lad like me to feel tall for a change. But it is just a lovely bike to ride, and when you twist the throttle, it goes really nicely. Now, it's not a sports bike, I can't say that it is, but it goes nicely. It gets to 60 mile an hour very quickly. I'm sure it gets to 70 very quickly and beyond. I just think these bikes are so underrated. Would be a perfect first bike if you pass your test and you want something bigger than a 125. Something like this would be perfect. It's got enough power to keep it fun and interesting for you for many a year. Riding around town, just doing the 20-30 mile an hour, you just do it with just loads of comfort, and the way this goes round the corner, it just glides. It really is. I'm gushing. I haven't gushed over a bike for a while, so it's nice. It's nice to have a bike that's kind of just putting the smile back on my face, because I've been a right miserable git for the last week or two. I've had a lot of things going on in my personal life, and sometimes you just need to go and blow the cobwebs off, don't you? Get on a bike that gives you a bit of a thrill, something to remember why you shouldn't be sad at all. You should actually be smiling and having fun. And this bike does it. It's doing it for me right now. I like it. Unfortunately, I do have to take this bike back. I would urge you, if you're looking for a bike of this type, if you're looking for just a little naked sports bike, or you're looking for something a little bit different, then come and try one of these, because they really aren't talked about enough. They really aren't. They should get more hype about them, and they just don't seem to get any. And I've not seen many videos about them, and I've not seen many people with them, and I just, for the life of me, now I've had this ride, I just don't understand why. I don't understand why these bikes aren't more commonplace. I don't understand why more people aren't trying their very best to get one. I don't get it. They just sit in a really, really perfect place for me. They sit in a place where they're not 1000cc motorcycles, so they're not going to be horrendous and bad for fuel efficiency. They just sit in a nice middle ground space where they will get to your motorway speeds with absolute ease. They ride really comfortably, and it's not a heavy bike. So to actually ride this bike around today has just been an absolute pleasure. I'm raving about this bike a lot, and I think I need to, because it doesn't get the credit it deserves. If this is a bike that you're interested in, and you should, because it's a lovely bike to ride, then contact the guys at Into Moto and they'll be able to hook you up. But oh, what a lovely machine. Yeah, I'm really impressed. That's going to do me for now. It's one of those sad days where I've got to give the keys back, and I don't want to, but unfortunately it's not mine. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.